Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Claiming Your Success Conversations with Caroline and Sabrina. And today we have another person who's going to be involved in this conversation. Natasha Pacchiarotti is here with us. And Natasha and I have been connected for, like 7 years, I want to say. It's been some
Yeah.
time, both on parallel entrepreneurial journeys. And just something about Natasha's energy and her grit and her resilience in walking through everything she's walked through in her journey so far just pulled at me to invite her to come and speak
Mm.
to you, all of you listening, to share some insights about what claiming your success actually takes. So, Natasha, my very first question for you is, what do we need to know about you to understand
Mm.
why you're doing what you're doing?
Um, well, let's start with identity.
Mm.
And thank you
Getting
for the
right in there. Let's
invitation.
go
Get
right in there.
right in there for sure. So I I was born and raised in good old York, Pennsylvania, in the suburbs. I was the only mixed chick in my school, Catholic schools from K through I graduated.
Mm.
My dad's black, my mom is white. My mom did not know what to do with this hair. And I didn't really realize there was a struggle with identity until later on in life. And then it was like starting to dig into who am I and where do I belong, and that came in college. But I had many, many nicknames along the way, depending on what era of life I was in. Reason why I'm saying this is because I went from my full name to Tanya to Nat to Nati to Nat Patch to Nat Patch Fitness. So my full name, which you did really well, you did so well with my last name. My first name, though, is
Did I get that
Natanya.
wrong? Oh, stop it.
Only
I've been calling you
because
Natasha for 7 years.
no, but you don't. No one
Well,
calls
I
me by.
don't say
You
that.
don't
I
call me
say
my.
Nat,
No
don't I?
one has. You've never called me by my first name. So, and I want to be like, but like I go by Nat.
Fail.
So I usually, though, you're so close because usually
Mm.
it's Natalie that I get.
Mm.
Usually people just go ahead and guess. I'm like, I've never said my full name to you. How are you gonna?
Mm.
So,
Mm.
but it's interesting that just it came to me like identity by
Mm.
hearing that, because depending on what era of life I was in or am in, like right now I'm still in that. I'm still in this like military spouse world, and all it does go into entrepreneurship life, trust me. But like just figuring out, okay, these are my group of friends now. Who am I? And part
Mm.
of that era of my life is labeled by, or I've kind of labeled it my nickname at that time, if that
Mm.
makes sense. So when I was going through high school, I was Tanya through and through. I was just Tanya. My parents, I was Tanya unless I was in trouble. You know that one. Then it was the full name. And then like getting out of that, trying to figure out, okay, I don't want to be that person anymore. I want to figure out, who am I really, and explore that a little bit more. So the true, I guess, figuring out um, life, or this journey of, or be given, when I was given the gift of this entrepreneurship life, was um, when I joined into the military life. Because
Mm.
not only are you, yet again, you are someone else's social security number. You have lost your identity. You don't know. You follow that person, and you pick up and you go, no matter what, every
Mm.
3 or 4 years. And so I had kind of like figured out my way. I was a starving musician in New York. I finally got my one-bedroom apartment. I was like, this is who I am. I love being a. I didn't love starving, but I love being an artist. Like just free. No one loves starving. But but I was like figuring it out, and like just surrounded by everything that moved me in music and movement, which is still what I do today, just in a different way. So I had to figure it out. I spent a lot of time depressed when I first moved from Manhattan to actually full circle where I am right now in Virginia. And when we made our way to Italy not soon after. And guys, like I've been blessed with some really gorgeous places. So all the ups and downs of this life,
Mm,
right?
mm,
Like Italy was fantastic, but I did spend a good portion of that first year depressed because I didn't again know why am I here? I loved Italy, but I'm like, I have to have a purpose
mm,
to wake up for every day. And just being able to explore the beautiful gift of Italy that God gave us wasn't enough. I wanted to give back to the world too in some way. That's what drives me. And
mm,
that's kind of where I got my start was there. Like when I was willing to say, all right, we're going to start by getting up every morning. You know, fitness has always been kind of like my foundation as an athlete, even though music is my jam. I always had that foundation throughout high school. That's how I actually paid the bills in Manhattan, even though I was there to figure out my music life.
mm,
That's where I started as a personal trainer, which is entrepreneurship as well. Like you
mm,
have to get your own clients, you have to put
mm,
yourself out there, you have to connect with people, you have to figure out how can I be helpful to them and what's going to keep them coming back to me. How am I going to be special for them? You know?
mm,
So, but it was then over there, I'm like, I gotta snap out of this. So I started going as soon as that gym was open in the mornings. I got there as a member and a participant on the base there, and then eventually
mm,
ended up teaching. And then eventually, because of connections of the past of being involved with music and movement and a show that I was in, um, a person, it's kind of like this connection, like someone reached out and were like, hey, I know this about you. I know that you know music, fitness, you like to move. I'm now involved with a company that actually trains people to do all these certifications, and I would like for you to get involved with that, but also be a part of this, a multi-level marketing
mm, mm,
company,
mm, mm.
and that's how I got into, if we're allowed to say names and companies on
Yeah,
this
yeah, of
show.
course.
Okay.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So, how I got involved with Beachbody was through I needed to be in shape for the show that I was in,
Mm,
and she was a turbo kick instructor. So in between rehearsals that were the entire day long, like she would have us come out into the parking lot to practice her turbo kick.
mm,
And we were the guinea pigs for her to get her certification. And then years later, the show was done. We weren't doing it anymore. She contacted me about doing the Beachbody partnership or
mm,
coach opportunity.
mm,
I'm like, all right, I could do it from Italy, so might as well. So I was combining my in-person training connection with people with my online, and I could, the time change was a bit tricky,
mm.
but I could start to reach back out to people in the States that, were friends
Mm,
and family that I wanted to reconnect with, and this was a
mm.
good way to do it. So
I think
that's
this,
probably the beginning of it.
no, it's good. And thank you for sharing that. And I think the
Mhm.
identity conversation is
Oh,
so interesting. It's so interesting to like really dive into that and really kind of for that to be where this conversation began. Even, me it's making the assumption that your name is Natasha when it's not, right?
I'm so
But
sorry.
it's
And I
like
was like, I got,
it's
should
that
I?
piece of almost being what's the word? Um a chameleon, right? And I
Mm,
feel like maybe it's a mixed race thing. And I don't know if you identify with this, Caroline, too, from your growing up era. But there's almost this necessity for some of us women to kind of just fit into wherever it is that we are and mold ourselves to fit wherever it is that we are rather than being 100% truly who we are. And
hmm.
so, what I'm
Yep.
hearing from what you shared was it's kind of you've been on a journey of trying to figure that out, like taking yourself out of the molds that you put yourself into and figure out who you truly are and what it's important to you and how it is that you want to serve. Caroline, do you have
Yeah.
anything you want to say about that?
So what comes to my head, what you've made me think of, Nat, is through lockdown, because my journey was, I'm retail store manager. You know, I before lockdown I hated work, you know, and I just was like, nope, don't want to be in retail, don't want to do this, don't want to do that. You know, I started off, well, I did start with a different company first, but then through lockdown I then joined Beachbody. And then through those years of me working on myself, I then realized, well, actually, no, I do enjoy work. You know, I do enjoy teaching people, developing people, growing people, giving them the skill sets they need to be better in life. You know, that's kind of what I then realized. So then, if anything, I think I found my identity shift knowing that I actually did enjoy that. I just was doing it in the wrong place. You know, retail is not where I need to be doing what I'm doing, but that was where I've developed the skills. I just didn't realize it wasn't it. Am I making sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so crazy how we figure these things out after the fact. Like, you have to be looking back to learn the lesson.
Yeah.
Right? And that's it's like, why can't I just know as I'm doing it? But yeah, it's when looking back, you're like, oh, that's what I learned from that. That's, you know, and absolutely understand that for sure. Makes
Then
complete sense.
my just to throw this in, my mum used to be around my dad's mum a lot. So my mum's mixed race, dad's black. So she was always around my dad's mum. So she knew how to do the hair.
Well, yeah, I'm not taking into all my dad's side of the family.
Yeah, to get that sorted
But
out.
me, I don't know. I'm more dominant. My white is more dominant than me right now. So yeah.
She tried. I love you, Mama. She tried. And she practiced on me, and then my poor sister. She had to go through it again with her. So, but yeah, and I tried to straighten my hair, and it wasn't until I went to college and I sang in a African American spirituals and gospel choir, and audition got in as like one of the top choirs there, and I was just so like thrilled that I got in. But then I was like, oh, wow, like, oh, who are all these cultural people? It wasn't all Black people, but like all ethnicities. Like, I was not used to that. And it was really cool. But, I was like, oh, I could do braids. So I had braids for the first time ever as a freshman in college. And I didn't realize that, okay, the putting in is a process, but then you got to figure out, what do I do when it's time to take them out? So I love telling this story because I got them in the beginning of the fall semester at Penn State, and I don't even remember where I got them done. I loved them, but I didn't know what do I do to get them out? Like, do I go back? Does someone take them out? Do I take them out myself? Like, how does this happen? No one's told me this,
It's like
so
a learning curve.
just throughout the entire semester, when they start to grow out, right? And started the braids here, and then it's here, and then it's here. I started wearing a bandana, and it just got wider and wider and wider and wider. I'm like, no one's noticing, right? No one's noticing.
It's like your nails,
like,
when your nails grow out and it just
Yes, exactly like that. And it wasn't until I went home for break, and I almost said auditioning, because I was interviewing for a job, and I'm like, I can't go like this. Like, so I just stood in front of the mirror in my mom and dad's at that time bathroom and cut the braids myself at the top of the braid. But listen, ladies, it was the first time since doing all the relaxers, all the, live, or all that stuff that kills your hair, because I just wanted to have my mom's hair, silky, straight, smooth.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I was going for, right? And it never happened. But I tried, and I killed my hair. But that was the first time it grew, and it was new, and I just left it alone since. I never, like, it's always up in this thing, because I just can't. But like, I had it super short for my wedding too, and it was just amazing. You wake up,
Love that.
and go.
It's like taking back ownership of who you are, just in that one act, right?
Stop trying to be somebody else.
Exactly.
Be
On
authentic.
that point, and when you were saying, you and Caroline were saying about how you never notice, like, why can't I know when the identity shifts are happening while I'm in it? Why is it always when you look back? What would you
Yeah.
say was a major turning point for you, like in your quest for figuring out who you are and having your entrepreneurial journey be kind of like a proving grounds of that, or a catalyst for that? What was a major turning point for you to really step into who you are?
The beautiful lockdown was that's what
So
did it.
our semi-recent past.
Yes, a little slight pause. I think that's where I just I think it was all building up, and I just I mean, in therapy, and like I believe in all that, like do it. But I was getting more and more into personal development myself.
Mm.
And I mean, I had therapy in Italy, and that was 2010, And so every place we went, I would try to find someone that I connected with. Now they have all this, we didn't have all the online stuff that we have now,
Mm.
but I still prefer in person for that connection. But um, I think just the having more time to do the work that we do in the dark that no one sees, and to give myself permission or grace or both to put that part of my life down where I know, looking back, that all the steps that got me to where I was, most of them, although and it's so hard to talk about this because I am truly grateful for a lot of the things I experienced is because of the decisions I made. But my decisions that I made were mostly because I was thinking about, what do other people want me to do? What is expected of me from the world, from people who do my career choice that I made, from my parents, from my husband's parents, then like when we weren't married, I was like, yes, because I'm going to do this next step and follow him because that's what's expected of me.
Mm.
I only looking back now am I like, maybe I had this on, maybe we should have paused to think about what I authentically wanted from this one life we have to live in this world. Not negating that. I'm not saying I would have made any other decisions, but maybe it would have taken longer to get to where I am. I don't know. Who knows? But I do know that there are certain areas of my life that I am still digging through pain or the unknown, or just literally feeling caged or unhappy because I didn't do what I wanted to do, because I was living up to the expectations of others versus what I know now, didn't know then.
Mm.
So I didn't know then that I like to be free and travel and be authentically me and help and be goofy and like go for big goals, and like I like to reach higher and reach higher and reach higher and reach higher, and yes, I may fall down, but then I'll get up and I reach higher again. Not everybody's like that. And there's only, and I found the people now that, like, when we were in growth day, like Austin, like, and he was like, you're in this room and you probably feel like you belong here, like, because you do. Like, everyone's jumping up and down and they're goofy and like being silly, and also really like to learn how to get better in life and elevate it. And I'm not okay with being okay. And I'm, unfortunately, and if they're listening, I'm sorry, but I'm surrounded by a lot of
Mm.
family is the hardest, because we're okay. I was born I was born like, yes, get the A's, get the A's, get the A's, get the A's. But not what never. I cannot, and maybe I don't know if you guys did this. It's so like, whoa, like who does that? When like some of our top mentors or speakers on the world stages, the Brendon Burchards and all those, talk about how, sit down with your family and talk about your, even your week's goals, but like your 5-year goals, your 10-year plan, like what, or open up about, even like I think it was earlier this week, like open up about how are they supposed to, and it's so true. Like, how are supposed to know, people supposed to know you're true, those closest to you, how are they supposed to know where you're truly going for in life or what your goals are
If you don't tell
if
them.
you don't
Mm.
tell them,
Mm.
So, but I didn't, I
Yeah.
wasn't born in a
Well, there's a piece of
family or,
that, and Caroline and I talked about this. I think last season, towards the end of last season, where yes, there's that, like, yeah, people don't know where it is that you want to go and what it is that you value if you
mm,
don't tell them. But I think you have to protect your dreams to not
Mm.
tell people that are not going to support them, right? Because
with that
the
fine line.
path to, yeah, the path to pursuing the more that we're all reaching for, and you're in the right room, by the way, if you didn't know,
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
ambitious thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
the more that we're all reaching for, it's hard enough to be on that journey with our own self-talk, right? Our
Mm.
own voice saying, who do you think you are? You can't do that. And when you get 12,000 no's, like Caroline was sharing in our last conversation, the voice inside your head is loud saying, well, maybe you should quit.
Mm.
Maybe you should give up. Maybe this isn't for you. That's already hard
Mm.
without sharing something that feels vulnerable to even say out loud because it feels ridiculous to you, to then share it with somebody that's going to be like, okay. Like, we don't need to be doing that. So
Mm.
there's an element of, yes, you have to, it is a fine line, exactly as you said, Nat. Like,
Yeah.
who, like, you should share it. You should share what it is that you're pursuing to the people that are closest to you, because they could be a support system, they could be a guiding light, they could be whatever. And I think it's important to put words and voice to what it is that you want most.
Yeah.
But I think you have to know who to share it with,
Right.
because not everyone is going to be about it, right, Caroline? Like, I know that you've had that experience too.
Yeah. One thing I was gonna ask, Nat, what do you do now? What is it you do now?
Well, I work for different companies that help with wellness now, but more with the supplemental. But I have several groups of women that I work with. I have a collective called the Elevate Her Collective, and we work with different tools for mindset work. And throughout the
Nice.
year, we will do masterminds. We'll read books and really break them, like Mel Robbins. And we're about to dive at the top of the year. We're going to dive into Worthy,
Great
and Jamie
book.
Clinton. Yeah. And because I've been really focusing on like how you feel yourself to be, you are worthy right now, So, and I know a lot of us struggle with that, like feeling worthy of whatever it is, even if you don't have it right now,
Mm.
like you are worthy of it right now. So yeah, mindset work, I work with women, with movement, whether it's through an app, but I also am an instructor. So, I'm on my way to being able to present on bigger stages for conventions and stuff like that with a company
Wow.
called Soul Fitness Brands. So in this stage of my life, like I went through teaching 20 classes a week, I don't really want to do that anymore. I love pop-ups and like bringing the energy and creating an experience. But I want to now, teach the teachers to do that,
Mm.
but also like create the experience for people to know what is this about, and how can I get this in my community because of the impact of, and this goes way back, born and raised in a musical family, like the power of music and movement and mindset is all encompassed in how I like to experience fitness, and also present it and have the class experience it. I was in a show called Blast. It's kind of like marching band on crack like
Mm.
on stage with a lot of lights, and
Ah,
we do
the
choreography. I
metaphor.
play trumpet and dance and percussion, and there were no words. There's one song that we actually sang, but other than that, your job was to communicate through the power of the music that comes out of your horn, how you're creating it together, the movement that you're and the energy you're creating on stage, but not to keep it to yourself, but to get those people feeling
Mm.
all the feels of all the songs. And we had is like just like life, like we had all
Mm.
the every up and down, the happiest, the sad, there's super sad moments, or yes, we'll bring you the tears. We'll be out in the audience creating all the joy right in your face with a didgeridoo. That too, played that. And like that same, like I'm on a search. Those 10 years of my life, again, looking back, those 10 years of my life, although they seemed hard at times going through it because you're on the road, city to city, you live with the same 35 people forever. And the rehearsals, like to get into the performance, of course, are tough. But once you're in it, man, it's so cool. And to travel and to be able to bring that joy to people and to move them in ways, I mean, there's just a power within music and movement that cannot be expressed in words, right? So, and it's international, like anyone can feel it. So those 10 years of my life, ladies, like part of my entrepreneurial journey is how do I know I can't go back. It's so hard to not to constantly like compare things to that. I really try not to do that because it doesn't help you move forward. Like it's really good to reflect and say, that was awesome. This is what I gained from that. How do we move it forward? So, but I am on a search for not that same exact thing, but what can bring me that same amount of joy and purpose and affect people to move and to experience. What is Brenda like? Feel the day, like experience the day, like experience life, myself included. Like, how can I have that type of impact
I think
with
that
what I'm doing?
You just hit on such an important note, and I hope everybody listening really got what Nat just shared. Sometimes success isn't what you get. Sometimes it's a feeling that you imbue, right? Sometimes it isn't what you get. It's what you're trying to give others. And it hit me because Caroline, what you shared this morning, I just saw a quick clip of it, what Trent Shelton, that video of him with that girl, and what you'd said about that. And I think it's so interesting how the most purposeful people I find in their quest for their more find their more in service of others.
Yeah.
Truly be wanting to uplift people that have been ripped down. And this is something that we all have in common, the three of us here on this conversation. And I think it's something that our listeners can connect with as well. And sometimes if we're not careful, we'll use our own pain or the struggle as proof that we're inadequate and we're not capable of serving others, when actually it can be the biggest strength and the biggest thing that we can offer others. I don't know if that resonates, but I would love to know, like, just off of that now, what does success mean to you? Like, in the pursuit of success, what does that mean? What does that look like to you?
Me or Carolyn?
You.
Caroline.
And then I'll ask Caroline. And then Caroline can answer.
I feel like I've been taking over this whole thing.
No, that's why you're here.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's hard. I mean, yes, I definitely want, I want to, and I think it'd be super fulfilling in this life to both fulfill that purpose of helping others. And I do have the mindset of like, let's help that one person today without expecting anything in return, right? But I also need to pay the bills. So like, what can I do that really fills in both blanks, right? Like I need to feel like I have purpose, and I want others to feel like they also have purpose and show them that they're worthy now, and they can show up for that person and they can grow into the next best version of themselves, right? Through my Nat synergy of movement, of mindset, mindful movement, and mindful fuel, right? And then I help to mentor them in that. But really to give them their own feet to go do the dang thing and ship it, right? Just go do it and create that true bliss for themselves. My goal for myself is I want to, get to the end of this life and be like, no shoulda, coulda, wouldas. I tried, I failed, I got back up, and I did the things I wanted to do. Even if I failed at them, I tried at them. I think by doing that, hopefully I can create that true bliss of that freedom that I want in all areas of life, but also to leave a legacy. Like my dad, God bless his soul, like we're not a rich family. Like this is what we do, music, unless you're, I just saw Mariah Carey do that's her name's in my, she did an interview. So I'm like, she's still doing the dang thing. I'm like, seriously? She got another album popping out this fall. Okay. But like, I don't need to do that. But like, he was happy. He was content. He served his community. He was a musician, band director, football coach, tracks. He did everything. He taught at the Catholic school that I went through. And everyone knew him because he was always willing to say, who can I help today? What can I learn today? How can I help better? And I mean, his funeral, not a dry eye, was packed, and still people like have stories that they continue to come to me with, and I want to leave that kind of legacy. Like every day I'm like, please let me just leave a legacy like that. Like I don't need to be on the news. I don't need to do that, but I want to make that kind of an impact on people's lives,
I think that's so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
That's so beautiful. And it makes me think, before you answer the question, Caroline, because I want to hear your answer too.
I do want to make money though. So
yeah,
just add
we
that
do.
Because
absolutely.
we gotta to do those things. I just got as an entrepreneur listening to this, like you have to
it's
do that.
That sweet spot, right?
Sorry, keep going.
it's the sweet spot of where how you can serve and what people will pay you for meet, right?
Yeah,
what
value
you're passionate about and what people will pay you for. That's the sweet spot. But anyway, I was just thinking, when you're talking about your dad and what a beautiful kind of like he sounds like a beautiful soul.
I'm
sorry that you lost him, but he sounds like he served the world well while he was here. But it makes me think about, I heard somebody say once, they said, if the person is not going to speak at your funeral, they don't get to have a say in how you talk, how you live your life. Because one of the things I think Caroline and I, we hear a lot, and I'm sure you do, Nat, with the women that you mentor too, that people are so afraid, so scared of what they will say when they put their art out there, they put their work out there, they step into that role and just build something out of the ordinary for themselves. It's fear that holds people back a lot because they're scared of what they will say. This is a new perspective that I have, is exactly that. If they're not going to speak at your funeral, they don't get a say, which means what you're scared of them saying does not get to dictate the actions that you decide to take. And I just think what you shared about your dad was just such a powerful example of that. Caroline, what does success mean to you?
Hello? I don't know. Nothing's really coming to me at the minute. Sorry. Don't know why. I think because I'm looking at the time, I'm like, oh my God, we've gone over time.
No,
we should save that now for next time. I can't even think right now.
Okay. Caroline will save it. She'll marinate in it and save it for next time.
Yeah.
It's so powerful, I think, to ask yourself that question. Just for anyone listening, what does success actually look like to me? When we're having these conversations about going out there and claiming your success, claiming what's yours, claiming what you're meant for, what is that? Do you even know what that is? Because that's going to be your North Star and your guiding light through all the things we've talked about in this conversation, where Nat's shared about identity and shared about the struggle and shared about, the good old times and looking back on the past and not recognizing when you're in it, but being able to take those lessons afterwards. The North Star is knowing and being very clear what you want your life to look and feel like, because then the decisions that you're forced to make, which directions you go in, will, if you're clear about that, it will be very easy to make those kinds of decisions, right? What aligns, what doesn't align become very, very clear and obvious. But anyway, Nat, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Any last words? I know. I feel like we could. Do you have any final thoughts that you want to share with our community, our audience here?
Just find what you're passionate about, but please, please be authentically you. Don't hide from that. And, share it with the world, and the people that are supposed to connect to you will. Just give yourself permission to put down whatever is not serving you and, was not in alignment, so you can really grow into the best version of you and that entrepreneur that you're meant to be.
Love
It's
that.
just that one
Thank
line you
you.
said. You said, show up for the people that are meant to be for you. That.
Powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still working on it.
I think we all are. We all are.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Nat. Thank you for being here, Caroline.
Oh
thank
my
you
gosh,
for being
so,
here
so
with us
much.
too.
It's been such a
So
blast.
fun. And yeah, until next time, Crazy Fan, please let us know what your thoughts are about this episode. Share in the comments. Share this with anybody that you think needs to hear it. I think when we learn from each other on this journey, it's so powerful. And we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.